All right, it looks like we are live with another episode of the Manny Wolfe Show with no BS, nothing. I've got Jeremy SLATE on today. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, man.
What's up, my man?
How are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. I'm here in New Jersey, so we're all going crazy, locked up in our homes, not going to the gym, and kind of like, you know me, man. I like to work out. I'm going crazy right now.
So like lots of push-ups, you grabbing the dog and doing squats. Like
that's about the half of it, man. I've been doing like the TRX resistance band training, but my 1.5-year-old keeps like jumping on my back and stuff. It's making it a little hard.
Let me just do the quick sharing so that everybody can see this and everybody knows what we're up to here. Whoa. Looks like I lost Jeremy. What the heck happened there? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hang on for a second while I see if I can get Jeremy back. All right. Don't know what happened there. Maybe New Jersey got their power cut or something. Oh, no, here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Hey, sorry, man.
Back.
Google Chrome crashed on me.
Oh, Google. Bitches. All right. So as I was saying, I am going to just quickly kind of share this out. So last time we spoke, our roles were reversed, and I had a kick-ass time on your show. It was so good. Yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. I hope I can return the favor today. It almost feels like there's so much going on in the world that on one side of me, I want to be like, Jeremy, what's your take on just life in general? On the other side, I kind of want to, talk about your expertise and what you've created.
Sure.
I think we're going to go that route. I think we're going to, everybody knows
let's not talk about life in general. There's too much going on out there in the world right now, man.
Yeah. And everybody knows it already.
Yeah.
So, you started a podcast how long ago?
Early 2015.
So that's like, you've been at this 5 years.
It's been a dog's age, as they would say, man.
A dog's age, man. Tell me a little bit about the marathon process for you, because you probably came into it knowing it's not a sprint, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, man, because I feel like a lot of people start a podcast because they're like, I'm going to be an internet bazillionaire. It's like that South Park episode where everybody wants their internet money.
Yeah.
But, for me, man, like my master's degree is in ancient history. I was a high school teacher for 2 years right out of college. And my mom ended up having a really bad stroke in 2012. And it sent me kind of like looking through a bunch of different careers to make something work, many of which that I failed at. I failed at like 4 or 5 different things. And I just started a podcast as a hobby, like not because I was going to like do this big thing or make a whole bunch of money or do whatever it may be. And honestly, it took off very, very quickly. We saw, 10,000 listens in our first 30 days, but I was kind of willing to work my butt off right out of the gate. Like, I sent out 3,000 individual LinkedIn messages. I sent out a whole bunch of Facebook messages, individual emails, grabbed people's phones and was, subscribing to myself on their phone, doing whatever I had to do to get out there. So for me, like, that's what it was really like about getting that initial attention and really, I guess, channeling, not really knowing what I was going to do. And then it ended up, because I had so much passion in it, took off pretty quickly.
So one of the things that I think is maybe a tragedy is like, there's no focus in school. Here's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Being able to have conversations with people now is a viable, marketable skill.
Yes.
And it wasn't really like that. Maybe, 5 years ago, it was starting to be like, hey, there's this thing called a podcast. Some of the cool kids know about it. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what I love, though. I love what you just said about like how kind of down and dirty you got, how guerrilla you got in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Because
everybody thinks like, I got to have this Facebook ad set up and I'm going to do multi-level targeting and it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. What would you do if you were starting today in order to try to replicate 10,000 downloads in the first 30 days?
Honestly, that same thing, man, because like you got to understand, like at that point in time, I had 200 followers on Twitter. So like I had virtually nothing. I had 1,200 followers, I think, somewhere around there on Instagram. Not a huge Facebook following. So like, you got to use what you have. And I had, connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn at that point in time. I started out in the fitness industry, so that was kind of a lot of, what I did. So before I knew there was a thing called automation, I sent out all these individual messages, copy paste by hand, which took hours and hours and hours. So like, I would probably do a very similar thing, because you got to understand your two main stats that are pushing growth. Number one, which by a high percentage is number one, is number of subscribers you can get sustained in a 24-hour period, because you're actually ranked in Apple Podcasts of the ratio of total subscribers added to the total subscribers that you currently have, and the higher growth you can show there.
So let's break that down a little bit more, because that seems like, A, I didn't know that. B, the podcast of this interview show is like inches from going live. So I'm like, Jeremy, tell me, brother.
Okay, so let's explain it this way, right? Like, let's say, like, and I'm just gonna make some random numbers here because I don't know what these numbers are, but let's say like Lewis Howes has 1 million subscribers, right?
Right.
And let's say he adds 1,000 people a day. So that percentage of 1,000, 1,000 in terms of a percentage of 1 million isn't huge. Now, let's say you, Manny Wolfe, have a brand new show and you have 0 subscribers. You add 100. Well, your total growth actually looks bigger than Lewis Howes. So you're going to see a jump on the chart. Now, if you can maintain growth like that over time, you're going to continue to jump and stay on charts over time, because it's not the ratio of, it's not your total subscribers, which a lot of people think it is. It's actually in ratio to the current subscribers you have. So if you can show a large percentage of growth sustained over time, you're going to hit a chart.
Okay. So given that, which I don't think a lot of people know, or they're keeping it to themselves, they're playing it close to the vest with that information.
Sure.
Given that, somebody who was serious about using their podcast as a marketing platform, you could plan promotional pushes just for subscribers.
Absolutely, because here's the thing you got to look at. Everybody thinks reviews, and yes, reviews are good for social proof. I'll say right out of the bat, like I did get 60 in my first week, but in terms of the scale of what gets you ranked, and I'm looking at mainly Apple Podcasts because I haven't really figured out Spotify and stuff like that yet.
Okay, yeah.
But like the hierarchy is number of subscribers, number of downloads, and then number of reviews. Like it's a much lower number, and that hierarchy subscriber number outweighs everything else by a ton. So that's the thing you really have to think about. If you can push that number, it's going to be the thing that's going to make growth for you.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool to know. I have this philosophy when it comes to marketing. I call it's called hitting the pinball up the ramp, and it's from an experience I had playing a game. I think it was Terminator 2 pinball game, and it's a savage.
It was a strategy inspired by Roger Daughtry when he was doing Pinball Wizard.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a savage game, right? And it can overwhelm you quickly. And so I was used to being good at pinball, and so I go on this game, and it just starts eating my money, right?
You had crazy flipper fingers, man.
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to see if there's one move I can do over and over again, and it's the left-hand ramp from the right-hand flipper. So no matter what else is happening, just focus on hitting the ball up that ramp over and over again. The short story is, by doing that, I basically made the game turn over, flip inside out. It just made it my bitch. And that's what I think we're talking about here is like, what's the most one leveraged thing we could do? And so let me just say thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know that. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Now, well, I'll say first off, just if you don't know him, shout out to Greg Clunes, who I've learned so much about ranking shows from. I can't take all the credit from that. Greg's done a lot of experimentation on it.
No, Greg's a good guy. I'll give Greg a shout out too. He's a solid cat, man. Where's your podcast now? Like, what kind of opportunity has it created for you?
So you'll see the banner behind me. We actually have a PR firm now called Command Your Brand. We've had since I started the podcast 2015. We've had this company since mid 2016, and it's really helped me to create a whole business. Which we now have 11 people on the team. We've worked with hundreds of incredibly cool clients that we've been able to place on top rated podcasts. So number one, it's helped me to create a business that I didn't think was gonna exist. Where we are a PR firm for the podcast space. Number two, and this is just pretty cool. I got a text from my friend a couple hours ago. He goes, "Hey, you want to interview former Chicago Bears tight end Desmond Howard or Desmond Clark?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like an opportunity wouldn't come that way,
Right,
you know, that way otherwise. Or a couple hours ago, I was on the phone with 3-time Mr. Olympia, 77 through 79, Frank Zane. So like, and we're going to be interviewing Frank tomorrow. So like a lot of these opportunities in terms of like people I've gotten to have conversations with have been incredible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's been a lot of credibility increase as well. Like, you know, it's gotten me in some big publications like Forbes and Inc. and stuff like that. And it's helped us with this process of building the company.
Yeah. I think that one of the things I'm attracted to about a podcast is it really mirrors not the hype and the flash of internet success, but the reality of it.
Sure.
You know, in the sense that I don't think there's any quick way to get to the trough. You know,
if you ask any person making a Facebook ad, though, they think there is.
Exactly. And so one of the things I really like to do is I like to poke that in the eye as often as I can.
Yeah.
You know, I like to always be talking about, look, man, when do you think it changed that you put the work in to get the result? Like, you know?
Because here's the thing, and you can see this in any industry, in any business, right? Like people when they see something, they don't want it to be a get rich quick or a get famous quick or whatever it is when they see it.
Right.
But then when they start that, they want it to be. So it's at the same time of understanding, like, you know, your goal and your purpose and where you want to go and what the way markers are on the way there, right? What are the realistic way markers and setting it up rather than, hey, you know, it's been a week and this podcast hasn't changed my life. Well, that's great. You know, what are the way markers that are going to get you to where you want to go? Because a lot of times people come into this without a goal of what they want it to do for them.
Well, no, I think they have a goal. I think it's to be
it's unrealistic though.
Yeah. Yeah. I think their goal is to be, you know, posing on a Lambo in front of a mansion. or do I have that wrong?
No, you're not far off.
Yeah. Well, cool. We got that stuff out of the way, man. Let's go a little bit into how business is for you now today.
Sure.
Yeah. So how's Command Your Brand doing?
Well, you know, it's funny. We've actually done pretty well during this whole downtime because our number one, there's just been a huge jump to podcasting. Since I know, like for myself, I had 3, you know, major keynotes. You know, I had Phoenix, Dallas, and Thailand that were all canceled on me. So like, kind of like people are hungry for stages, and there's a lot of online stages. Number 2, like just as a company, we've been pretty much an online business, you know, since we started. We have, like I said, we have a team of 11. We have a couple people on our team in the Philippines. We have the team in Miami. We have a bunch of people here in New Jersey. So because of that, we've really been set up to deliver in the way that we're currently delivering. Like it wasn't really a change for us. I think a lot of businesses had to adjust to kind of this new way of operating. Like, how do we make things online? How do we have our team connect online? How do we chat online? Yeah. So that stuff was always set up for us. Like that wasn't a problem. But then, like I said, there's also a desire to get out there, get attention, and get in front of people, since just really a lot of marketing vehicles have stalled, and a lot of speaking, you know as much as I do, as disappeared, man.
Yeah, speaking just got the rug pulled out from under it, man. Yeah, exactly. Just like, what? I wound up having to pivot because I had just doubled down on my done for you speaking gig service, you know, and just made the decision, like, this is what I'm going to do. And like a month later, the whole world's in this crazy.
You see a guy on TV coughing.
Yeah.
All over.
And that was it. So what I decided I would do is I'd back off, take this time and build out, like, I had always envisioned the done for you speaking gig service as part of a bigger, like just a PR engine, you know? And so what I did then was I've built out content distribution and management, platform management, podcast interview applications. And then when the world opens back up, speaking again, media. So I've been building this whole big juggernaut called syndication engine. That's been my response to this.
But that's brilliant, because I think it's the people that take this as an opportunity to create something new and do something better, man, is going to be huge. Like I know even for us, we've taken a lot of our processes and we're like, all right, February into March got really slow where people were kind of figuring stuff out. How can we make this thing better? And we improved a lot of our processes. So people that are thinking like you're thinking, man, are going to be in great shape coming out of this. I
think so. Tell me about how you guys improve your processes. That's what was that looking like for you? Where could you lean it up and make it faster?
So it wasn't really leaning it up. It was the thing you want to make sure is that every part of the process is always getting done. And what we've always done is we've always used like we call them routing forms. They're like a checklist of each step that gets done with a client as they go through our business. But sometimes people would check their spot off, sometimes they wouldn't. So things weren't always getting done and they were getting missed. We learned a few things about how to use Google Forms differently. Like you can actually tag people via email in a Google form or in a Google spreadsheet. So what we do is like, say I took somebody, I was the person receiving the money. I would then check off that I received the money. Well, their next step is they have their interview with the PR expert before they do their booking. So then I would tag that person so they would know that their step was up. So we kind of found where the holes in a lot of the processes we were. And we also took a look. Yeah. We also took a look as well because every position in our business is written down in detail, like, step 1, step 2, step 3, what do you do in this situation? And it's also videoed. So we took a look at a lot of those and we realized, honestly, a lot of those were written in 2017, man. So 2020 is a lot different than 2017. So we saw there were a lot of holes in that process. There were also a lot of things that were done differently. So we figured out how to rewrite a lot of those processes because, what we did about 3 weeks ago now is we hired two more publicists on our publicity team. So what we wanted to make sure when we bring these people on, are they, brought on standardly and do they do things exactly the same as everybody else we have on the team? So it's really helped us to streamline how our positions work and how our company training works as well.
I think there's 2 big Achilles heels for the small shops like yours and mine, like these small entrepreneurs. One, don't make SOPs. That's the first Achilles heel. 2, don't update SOPs.
Well, then that's the thing. Like, honestly, like we screwed up by waiting 3 years. You should be updating these things, if not every 6 months, at least every year, because things change in your business based on how technology changes, how the space changes.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how you are, but me as the guy who's sort of the face in the brand, I want to be able to, and this is an Achilles heel too, I want to be able to trust that the SOPs are good. One of the things I don't want to spend my time doing is going back and looking over stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
And you know what? And I'll be honest with you, I'm in the same role in my company. And one of the things you have to take a look at is honestly just putting time in, whether it's time in your week on your calendar or time in your bi-weeks or whatever it is, to say, okay, this is the time I'm working on my business instead of in it. And you have to kind of take a look at a lot of those things. And I've had days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I got nothing done, but I look at it and I was setting other people up so that they could get a lot more done in the future. And that's how you have to kind of look at a lot of those things.
Let's talk about that for a second, because that's one of the strangest feelings for me as I learn to, you know what I mean?
No, it is.
As I learn to be,
you're like Ricky Bobby when he's getting interviewed in Talladega Nights, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to. So it's a similar situation when you're an executive that's been a person that's been very busy. It's not to say you're not still busy, but you're not doing, I guess, the same work type tasks. You're doing higher level tasks. You have to kind of deal with that and take a look at, well, what are my priorities? They change a lot, man.
They change a lot. And I love the Ricky Bobby analogy because deep down in my heart,
what do I do with these?
I'm always Ricky Bobby deep down inside. But no, you're right, man. It's like I'll have these days where I spend most of the day thinking, but here's what's happening. Content is getting distributed. Channels are growing. People are coming into my world. All the things, the mechanics are happening. And in fact, my stepdaughter just had a conversation with my wife the other day. She's like, I don't really understand what he does for work. And she said, well,
making that magical internet money.
Yeah. She said, well, there's different kinds of work. There's work that requires you to stay on top of it all the time. And then there's this sort of abstract, creative, visionary stuff. And she didn't put it like that, but, and it was a fair thing to say because as often as not at 2 p.m., I'm taking a nap. And the reason I'm taking a nap as much as anything else is because I'm trying to figure out these big pieces. You know what I mean?
Well, Winston Churchill took a nap every day at 3, man. So you're in good company there.
God bless him.
He also drank like a fish, but
Yeah. Well, I did all my drinking already for this lifetime, as far as I can tell or hope. Yeah, I got that all out of the way by the time I was 28. But it's such a trip to have that feeling, like you said, where you look back and you go, God, I don't feel like I was productive today. And yet things got done, you know.
And you look at it too, and you're like, okay, well, my quote unquote non-productivity is I was running payroll. I was, changing, the requirements for training for employees. I was looking at like healthcare. I was looking at all these different things. Like you're doing things, but it's not your past definition of what your product is. You know what I mean? So it becomes harder to understand, where this is going sometimes.
Yeah. It's such a strange feeling. And I get why people have such a hard time transitioning.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, I came out of the trades 10 hours a day, painting houses on ladders. That's productivity. You can look at a house and now it's a different color. That's productivity.
But I had the same experience, man. Like I coming out of school, I didn't get a job right away. So I was managing a gym. I was managing a gym at night and working 12 hours during the day, painting houses. And I worked for an older guy that we did everything by hand. You scraped your houses by hand on a 40-foot ladder.
Yeah.
So I had a definition of hard work, and you have to look at like, there's hard work and there's smart work. And if you can enable people to actually get more done, that's what an executive really does. An executive creates the programs and lines for things to be accomplished. You're actually getting more done than you would be.
Yeah, totally. It gives me, earlier we were talking about SOPs, and what I wanted to say there is I can't help now but look back, and you could probably relate to it with that gym job you just told me about, at how much I took for granted that little employee manual. And
we didn't have one.
Oh, you guys didn't even have one? Have you ever worked a job where they had SOPs ready? This is your training manual. This is how you do whatever it is we're paying you to do. And I
guess I didn't have a lot of great jobs leading up to it, man. Because even like when I taught in the school, they'd be like, "All right, make a lesson plan." I'd be like, "What does that look like?" So like that was also a learning curve for me starting a business. Is I'm very big on processes and I'm very big on the employee handbook and stuff like that. So I had to learn how to do a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah. Now I came from a background of working about 100 jobs, before I finally got into what I'm doing now. And even now, in the 6 years I've been in this space, it's evolved a bunch of times. So you could say more than 100. But I remember like sitting in the break room at the pizza parlor or the retail store or something. And in the break room, they have all these binders of all the operational procedures. And looking back, I go, that was a fucking Herculean undertaking that I just totally took for granted.
Yeah.
What are you guys looking to create this year? And like, what's next?
So we're looking at, because what we've always done is we've concentrated on like keeping the main thing, right? So like we get people booked on great podcasts, we prep them for those, we take a look at their positioning, we coach them around that. Yeah. So we've always focused the last, 4 years at this point on doing that. Yeah. But what we're looking at this year is we're looking at like, what are the ancillary product lines that we can offer that are part of the service to that. Yeah. And the thing I'm taking a look at is I feel like the thing where a lot of entrepreneurs mess up is you need to add a product that's like 1% different than what you do, or, less than 10% different than what you currently do. Yeah. So for me, we're taking a look at different services we can offer in addition to that and making sure they align enough where it helps our public and our public can use it, but it's not, I got to go hire 10 more people to offer it and it takes me out in the left field. So really that's kind of what we're focusing on now, because, really 2019 was about really our first really great year of production. Because in 2017, we had lost a business relationship with a business partner, which, for the last quarter of 2017, I didn't make any money. So we had to kind of keep everything going. I was taking some side work to be able to continue to pay my staff because I wanted to keep them. 2018, we were rebuilding. And then 2019 was really the first year we really had the gas down. And then 2020, we've been building on that. So now it's really, how can we add more product lines on that to service our public?
That's cool. That's very, very similar to kind of what happened for me. 2018 was similar. And then 2019 was like, oh my God, it actually happens. Like, you know what I mean? So that's really cool to hear you say that too. And maybe just kind of a shout out to the people listening. Everybody talks about the year that they 5X'd or 10X'd or whatever it is, and I want to say, like, as a champion of all you guys out there trying to make a hustle work, like that does happen.
We doubled from 2018 to 2019. Like in 2019, our revenue was double what it was in 2018. Yeah. But like, like I said, it was pretty much like starting a new business because we had separated with a business partner.
Yeah, man. Talk a little bit about sponsorships and podcasts. Do you look for and have sponsors on your show? Is that part of your revenue plan?
So it's interesting, right? So like what I've done is I've actually concentrated more on affiliate offers because sponsors pay you for the time. Where in actuality, since we have a large active audience, I can actually make more money by doing it as an affiliate offer. So like we do Audible's affiliate program, and I always tell my listeners like, hey, this is the book I'm reading right now. This is what I'm learning from it. You can go pick it up for free right here with Audible. And then you make a per person that purchases, win with that. Also, we use a company called Gusto for our payroll. They're awesome. And they handle all of our government pay filing for us. They handle all of our employees. It's great. They also have a really great affiliate program. So, that's another thing we use as an advertiser because we've worked with a lot of advertisers. I just find affiliate programs personally to make us more money because they're not paying for the time, they're actually paying for the product, and we can get a pretty good product for people.
If you had to guess, what sort of size audience do you think you might need before an affiliate revenue stream looked more attractive than a sponsorship revenue stream? Or is it always like no matter what level you're at, because sponsors they would tier down their payment, right, depending on your audience?
So I would say if you get creative with the offer, and if the product that you're promoting is something that you use yourself and something you like, then number one, your audience has more belief in it. Number two, I always think an affiliate offer benefits you more because let's say a lot of smaller podcasts, right? So they go by CPM, which is cost per mil. Mil is Latin for 1,000. So you get paid a dollar amount, which is anywhere from $15 to $25 per 1,000 listens. Well, most podcasts get like 100 or less listens. So you're making $0. Now, let's say you have an affiliate offer that you have 2 purchases, let's say, and you get $15 per purchase. Well, you already made more than the affiliate offer would benefit you with only 100 listens. Whereas, let's say you're getting thousands of listens or millions of listens. If your conversion stays good through that, you could still be making a lot more money with an affiliate offer, man.
And plus, an affiliate offer can grow month over month, right? Because that's the beauty of it. It's interesting. I think that those kind of affiliate relationships, like what you might call affiliate link relationships, are one of the untapped gold mines in this space. Yeah.
Well, because it's like I said, especially with Audible, because I read a lot. So like, I'll say to people like, hey, I just finished Confessions of an Economic Hitman by future Create Your Own Life guest John Perkins. You can, get that book or any other book for free courtesy of Audible at blah, 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 blah. Like people actually look for that recommendation. They're interested in going getting the book. And like, I can get paid for that, which is pretty cool.
It might be gangster for people who have a podcast and a book. If you just promote your own book through Audible's affiliate program.
there's a
did they think of that already?
Yeah, that's a conflict of interest in the contract.
Okay. All right, damn it. The hustler in me
just people my book. No, that's right. You can't do that. It's a conflict of interest.
The hustler in me came out for a minute.
You said gangster. I was like, oh, he's gonna be like promoting Smith and Wesson or something like that. I didn't know what you meant.
Where I come from, gangster means you thought of you thought of a clever ass way to come up. That's what
I'm from the country, man. It's our definitions of things are a lot different out here.
Exactly. That's why I like to take these moments to clarify. So I want to recap a little bit some of the really, really cool things you've said that quite frankly I'm going to use. Focus on subscriptions. Reviews are helpful. They're important and they're powerful.
Well, they're going to help you win that click. And that's what you got to think of. They show people, they hit that thing in their brain that says, oh, other people like this. I should do this too. So it's important for that reason.
Exactly. But I feel like reviews are focused on and pushed more even than subscription.
Right. Because most people don't realize they don't really have a change on your ranking.
Yeah. And then the other thing was promoting affiliate offers instead of sponsorships. I think that's genius, man. I'm surprised that no one has said that before. Again, maybe
because they look at it like people are taught like get sponsorships,
Yeah.
when they don't understand. If you find a good affiliate offer, man, like the payroll company I use, Gusto, they pay you $100 for each person you refer to them. That's pretty damn good.
Is that ongoing, like recurring for the length?
It's not recurring, but like if your listeners are into what you're promoting, if they're interested in your services, that's going to be ongoing because you're going to keep getting more people doing it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. Let's keep it tight because I know you have to move and I have to move. Dude, so good to catch up with you. Thank you so much for sharing that stuff. Some of that was really, really just like, I feel like an insider already. and the podcast is still a couple of days from going live. So thank you for taking the time with me, Jeremy. It's good to catch up with you, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, man. And I guess if people want to find out more about me, the two places are either JeremyRyanSlate.com, which is my personal site, or CommandYourBrand.com, which is our company site.
And what's your podcast called?
It's called the Create Your Own Life Show. I interview people that are world class about what it means to be world class, so you can do so too.
So you hear that? That means I'm world class.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, brother.
Absolutely, man.